PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Honestly, when I do a Saturday morning meeting, most of the time it's one take. I walk in here, I've got something in my mind, I knock it out for you guys just to keep you up with what's going on either in the future or currently, so that maybe it's a little bit of help on how you plan your day, week, or month. So this is the third take for this morning because there's too much to say. And so what I've got is I've got my marker right here, the future. I know where we are right now. Very low supply, very high demand, and it doesn't look like that's ever going to end. What would cause that to end? Well, there's some changes. There's some future changes. So interest rates are going up. As interest rates go up, customers back away from the market. As the demand shrinks, then the supply will start coming back. If the interest rates continue to grow, your supply will grow. And now, instead of waiting for the one car to come in that's already been pre-sold, you'll have multiple cars in inventory, and now the customers are going to expect a discount. The interest rates are high. They're not going to pay over MSRP. You know, it wasn't 3 years ago that most OEMs were selling cars below invoice using factory money to make the car a profitable car deal. And that was 3 short years ago. That's not very long. And if you've been in the car business for less than those 3 years, you've never experienced that model before. Ask a veteran salesperson, you know, when you sold 20 cars in a month and really didn't make a paycheck because each one of the cars were sold near invoice, that's a whole different deal. Will that come back? Everything comes back in business. So I look at the future. We're really good at planning our day, really good at planning finishing a week, or really rallying at the end of a month. Most of us aren't great at planning the year, and certainly not great at planning 5 years. We're more reactionary. Salespeople are phenomenally reactionary. Customer comes in, I want to, boom, you're on your game, and it's good. But am I really planning for what's going to happen to me 5 years from now? Very rarely does anybody look at that. There are people that are not going to buy a car today. So in a conversation in the future, I would say, when you replace your car, are you going to go with an electric car? Are you going to go with a hybrid car? Or are you going to go with a combustion car? It's an interesting question, and people really aren't on the fence on that. They've already made their mind up which way they're going to go. California's just said that in a few short years, every new car will be an electric car. They didn't say every car. And so people listen to the news and they hear what they want to hear. So that means every new car sold, they're saying, will have to be an electrified car. Some people can't make a daily deal on an electric car. They need a combustion car because they drive too many miles and it's too inconvenient. And so they're going to buy a used car. So that's going to really increase the value and demand of used cars in the state of California in a few years when they say 100% electrified cars. I think that the best answer for that is what Toyota's done with the hydrogen car, with the Mirai. But then let's see what happens, because it's multiple years into the future, and right now, nobody's worried about the future. It's mine now. Will the market change? What changes the market? So when I'm looking at the future, I'm saying as interest rates go up, then the demand for cars go down. As the cost of money increases, the demand for items goes down, and all of a sudden supply comes back up. So now instead of looking at an empty lot, you're looking at a dealership that's starting to get multiples of different vehicles, and the same thing happens to the dealers that are closest to you, and so now we get into a bidding or a competitive world again. So if you're not familiar with this, all you need to do is ask a 5 to 10 year veteran in the car business, you know, what happened, you know, years ago when you sold 20 cars in a month and you really didn't make a paycheck because the cars you sold were the low demand cars or the cars that we were selling at invoice or below. And that is a real thing. So there's a lot to look at in the future, but my question is, are you working for the future? I know you're doing a great job today. There's no doubt about it. But pay plans have starting to reverse. Dealers are starting to pay more. When you start to get more inventory, you pay floor plans, so the cost of keeping your inventory goes up, and everything starts to change. There are people that come into your service department every day. There are people that you interact with every day. You have a friend that you go to an organization, church, or whatever with, and they have a Camry. Just ask them. So when you replace your Camry, so I notice you have a Camry, are you going to stay with a combustion? Are you going to go with a hybrid? Are you going to go with an electric car? Just kind of curious. Yeah, I'm probably going to get another Camry. This thing's been phenomenal. It gets 40 miles per gallon. I love the car. So when is that going to be? So the customer looks at you and says, you know what? I'm probably going to give this car to my kid when they graduate 2 years from now, and then I'm going to get another car. So they've just committed to buying a car in 2 years. So how good are you with the future? Do you wad that up, all that information, and put it in your CRM? Do you put an app on your phone? Because you can put all that information, what they said, when they're going to trade, and get it to flag you 2 years from now or a year and a half from now and be ahead of the game. So each and every person that looks at you that you have a conversation with, I am going to buy a car at this time, to me becomes future bank. And as car profitability goes down, my volume has to increase. And so I'm probably going to talk about this for the next couple of weeks and give you some tips on how to be able to retrieve that customer a year, 2 or 3 years from now. If you're going to be in the car business, do not decrease your income. If you're flowing at an income level now that you've never been in before, I don't want to see anybody go backwards. There are people that always want cars. The salespeople that resource people for the future, that plan for their future, are going to be the people that make the most money. I'll make this statement. It's not always the way I just told you, the planning and putting stuff aside and going ahead and a marker of your customer that's coming in 2 years. That's not the way it's normally done. There is a really amazing sales professional that you've worked with, either at the dealership you're at now or somewhere else. And they're so likable. I mean, they are just a likable person. There are people that aren't likable, and there are people that people just immediately are fond of. This person does a great job. They don't really sell the car, they sell themselves. They sell the interaction with the customers enjoy themselves, they feel like they've been treated better than they've ever been treated before. And people come back year after year after year and buy from this salesperson. And you know, everybody knows who this person is. They do 20 to 40 cars a month, and they really don't work hard. They just show up and everybody comes in and asks for them by name. Unfortunately, for most of us, we aren't that person. We aren't the most lovable person that anybody's ever met. And so you can create that by a great business model, by working harder than anybody else works for your future customers. Take care of your customers in today's market, but don't forget about the future. PK52, the Saturday Morning Meeting.